See that you're born an Italian if you want your life to be great. See that you're born an Italiano and your life will be great.
How about some Donatello?
That's a nice.
Hey there, Paisani, and welcome back to another episode of the Italian American Podcast. I'm John Viola, along with my partner in crime, the notorious POB Patrick O'Boyle, here at the corner of Mulberry and Grand in the heart of Little Italy. It is the dog days of summer. August is here. Ferragosto is right around the corner. Italy is shut down, and we have an episode today filled with friends and an organization that I am a huge fan of and really proud to support, the Italian American Baseball Foundation. So I want to jump right in with our guests because we've heard, or you've been hearing.
I'm not allowed to talk.
Oh, I said
we had
once,
a retake because I went to the wrong camera. This is why I hate East Germany.
You told me.
I had to look. Well, I said, what camera I have to look at? And I looked at the wrong camera, and I said something, and now we had to start all over. So I'm on silent mode.
No, don't be on silent mode. You have to answer my question. Someone pointed out that when we do our normal host banter introduction, that in the old days was on Zoom.
Stephanie Inotti.
Oh, is that who it was?
Of course
Stephanie?
it was.
Stephanie
Who else
pointed
would
out.
be?
It was like we were ignoring the guests we had.
Correct.
Right, which makes sense because we like to set everybody up and be at the table, and we talk
It's
a
like
lot.
Johnny Carson. You have your opening. Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
you
dun,
need your
dun,
opening,
dun,
right? So we're going to have our guests included in our opening today because we don't want to ignore them, and they are our friends. We know them. I want to make sure I introduce them in order as you're going to see them on camera. From the Italian American Baseball Foundation, Joe Quagliano, or Quagliano, depending on who you are and where you are, Chris Vaccaro, and Carmine Gangone, the heart and soul of the Italian American Baseball Foundation. Guys, welcome to the Italian American Podcast. Really glad to be together.
This is the holy trinity of Italian American baseball.
Very well said. Absolutely, yeah. These guys really are the engine behind a great organization.
Spiritu Santo.
So I don't know who's who, but yeah, welcome, guys. We're happy to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us.
So it's the dog days. It's August. It's the kind of beginning of the end of summer. Baseball season is in its real grind right now. And Italian America's in its grind right now. The feasts are going on. You're traveling like a crazy person. You've got a bunch of stuff coming up.
God bless me.
Yeah, where are you going next?
Boston.
And
then we're going to D.C. for the
podcast convention. Yeah, you're going nonstop.
Because we have to. I mean, look, we have to go nonstop because I was saying this morning, I think the greatest service we're doing now is that we're networking Italian America through Instagram.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because like when I went to the feast in Omaha, who would you guys would have thought?
It was amazing.
Oh, Omaha was the best.
I'm going there next year.
But who would have thought?
It's on the list.
It's on my high list.
You would never have known there was Sicilians in Omaha.
Wow.
And they're not connected with people here. Like this is like the people in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'm going to the fringe a little bit. Like Boston is not the fringe.
No, Boston's the heart. Yeah.
I want to do the fringe a little bit because I think people start to think, wow, there's Italians in Mississippi and there's Italians in Utah. You know, they're out there.
You know, it's funny because we talk about the feast a lot, but we're talking baseball today, and you guys came in. I don't know if all of you were there, some of you were there, but the Yankees just finished Italian American night, right? And they're giving out. So they did. How many games did the Yankees do for Italian American this year?
One.
One this year. Last year was what, 4?
Yeah.
It was just unique to see a multi.
The only team in the country to do
It was,
that,
right?
Yeah.
But you guys have been active in getting a lot of teams to have these nights, these heritage nights. And I've seen them across minor league baseball, which to me is like a good barometer of the country. And our friends from Grown Up Italian got merch sent to them from I think it was the Winston-Salem, North Carolina Dash. Or so they did like a Italian night, right, with the Italian sandwich from Chicago that's there. But I got thinking to myself, like, we're kind of everywhere. And if you think about these teams across the country and these communities across the country, now we're all over the place. Do you guys travel a lot for these things? Are you seeing much of Italian America for the where are you going? And
Absolutely. Chris is actually going to St. Louis this weekend for a heritage game.
Is that right?
We have a Boston one next month. We just finished the Yankee one, but we have quite a few. Somerset is going to have one, I think, on September 27th.
I saw that.
They did a Double-A Yankees.
Yeah. That's New Jersey for the fans who aren't don't know.
We've been building this process as part of our mission and vision. Yeah, we're about scholarships and baseball development, but we figured there's a critical mass of people in a stadium to see the flag, to hear about IABF. And then if the teams are on board with us, a percentage of the ticket sales will go to our scholarship fund.
That's nice.
So now we're up to 25 stadiums between MLB and some minor leagues, some independent leagues. And it's a lot of fun. Sometimes we're on the field in different ceremonies. Sometimes we're just there to support it. But it helps us get our brand out there because we're very Northeast focused. But now we're in LA, Arizona, Florida. Like you said, St. Louis. I'll be having dinner on the Hill right after watching the Cardinals play. It's going to be, they're very special moments for us.
Yeah, it's worked out well.
Maybe next year, Omaha's got the Storm Chasers are their AAA team. I think maybe next year we can
Yeah, we could work it around the same time.
work it around the feast. That'd be
I would
really
love that.
fun.
I mean, I was very
We could
impressed
set
with
that
that
up.
feast.
Done.
Make that work.
Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be really fun, right? Because I even like Arkansas. Tontitown is the Northwest Arkansas Naturals are about 5 minutes from Tontitown, the stadium.
I don't think people realize how much you love baseball.
I'm obsessed with baseball.
You
yeah.
were a bat boy for the Yankees.
I
Am
was
correct?
a bat boy. Yes, yes.
You met Joe DiMaggio.
I did meet Joe DiMaggio. That's a picture Nikki can put on. That's like one of my proudest moments. Yeah, I met Joe DiMaggio. Have I ever told you guys that?
No.
I never told.
don't
It's like my
recall.
favorite DiMaggio story. It's my only DiMaggio story. But yeah, I was. My dad was the vice chairman of the Mercantile Exchange in '97 when they started the interleague play series. And so they created the Merc Cup, which was to be given to whichever team won. In '97, the Yankees won more games, so they had a big dinner. Steinbrenner had in Windows on the World in the old Trade Center.
Wow.
And my dad pulled me out of school early. I got put on a shirt and tie. I was like, super excited. And my dad's cousin was a big baseball collector and a big baseball fan. And he also worked on the exchange. So as my dad was kind of working the event, I stood with my uncle. And somehow we kind of broke off into another room on Windows on the World. And in the corner of silhouetted in the light of the 110th floor, whatever it was, I see this table with two guys at it, and one of them hunched over is DiMaggio. This is a year before he died. And I grabbed my uncle. I'm like, I gotta go meet DiMaggio. So I walk up to him, I tap him on the shoulder, and he turns at me, doesn't say anything, and I say, Mr. DiMaggio, my name's John Viola. I come from Brooklyn, but my family's Yankee fans because when my grandfather came to America, you were the superhero for Italian Americans. I just want to take a picture with you for my grandfather if I can. So he doesn't say anything. He just kind of goes, okay. I have the disposable camera. My uncle takes a picture. I'm all excited. He turns back to his lawyer, and my uncle, who's 6'5", goes over and he taps him on the shoulder and says, Mr. DiMaggio, could I take a picture? DiMaggio slowly turns back and he says, I took the picture with the boy. We had our fun. Let's just leave it at that. And let's just leave it at that became my family slogan for put this thing to rest. It's not going to happen. Let's just leave it at that. And that was DiMaggio. That was the only time I ever. But yeah, I love baseball. I'm a baseball. This foundation combines two of my great passions: being Italian and baseball.
I think
too.
personally, from a historical perspective, baseball was our first penetration into mainstream America where we were accepted.
100%.
Joe DiMaggio was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Big part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandparents, they lived and died of what Jim DiMaggio did that day.
Yeah.
They would talk about it at night, after dinner, during dinner. And the guys like DiMaggio and Tony Lazzari and Frank Crissetti, they were a big part of the Italian immigration process into baseball.
Yeah, think about all these names in different communities.
And there's so many that we don't even know because their mothers are Italian.
Yeah.
And their fathers are not. For instance, Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander. all
Garrett
these
Cole's
modern
half
guys.
Italian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
His mother was
mother
born in
was born in
Sicily.
Italy.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, we should get them on.
That's never. He's the best pitcher for the Yankees. I mean, he's not going to come to. I don't think he'll come down here, but maybe he will. I don't know.
Why do you discount
I
him so
don't know.
quickly?
Maybe he's a quite busy, wealthy pitcher, but maybe
Make the
he'll
phone
come.
call.
We'll give it a shot.
him down.
All these years, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
there's so many. I mean, for instance, yesterday the Yankees played the White Sox and Nicky Lopez, Dominic Fletcher. Dominic Fletcher and his brother speak fluent Italian.
That I knew. Yeah.
And he's
And their mother was born in.
and the mother was
That's
born.
amazing.
Joe Musgrove.
So many. Joe Musgrove. There's so many that we don't even know because of the name.
That's wild. Right?
Wasn't Pete Rose?
No.
Am I wrong?
John Smoltz.
John Smoltz.
Who
Yeah.
was from the Mets?
half
Who was
Italian?
the coach? Yeah, half Italian.
who was the coach.
There was somebody in the '60s. I'm thinking.
Well, Joe Torre was. I mean, obviously.
Well, Joe Torre.
Joe
But,
Pignatano was the coach.
No,
Yogi Berra.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yogi.
A Mets coach. I don't know. It's a good question. No, Piazza, we know.
We
No,
know.
Mike. Mike's a great supporter of the foundation. He's obviously the coach of the Italian national team, and a great friend of ours. And I always say to him, he's kind of the last guy. I'm 41, and I grew up as a Yankee fan, always rooting for Piazza because he was so Italian. You know what I mean? He kind of sticks out as like that last ethnic hero.
Right.
Wasn't Billy Martin Italian?
Yes, he
Yes.
was.
that's
Yes.
Billy Martin.
You're thinking Yankees. Yeah, Billy
Sorry,
Martin.
Yankees,
Yeah.
Billy Martin.
Yeah, Billy Martin.
You got your teams crossed, but you were close.
I remembered
You did
somebody-
New York,
It's like the
so-
modern DiMaggio for us. I mean,
He
as
is,
a
yeah.
13-year-old, I'm watching the Mets play the Yankees in the Subway Series. That was my guy.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple years ago, we're sipping espresso with him in a dugout in Tuscany. It's a very
Yeah, that's
unbelievable moment, and he's the face of Italian American baseball in a lot of ways.
So you talk about that arc that you've experienced, right, as a baseball fan. Somebody tell us a little bit about how the foundation came to be, because I really personally don't know how you guys started this, who kind of grabbed who, and what was the mission then, and how has it evolved now, because it's grown exponentially.
Well, it's really started at a golf outing. Frank Catalanato, former MLB player in Long Island, had a golf outing, and after the outing, we're at dinner, and we're sitting around at a table, and we're talking about what we just talked about, all these great Italian ball players, DiMaggio, Crissetti, Yogi, Rizzuto, Peppertone, and even Mike. The great Italian ball players, but not one of them was born in Italy. Now you look at all the other heritage, the Latino heritage. These players come from Dominican and Puerto Rico and Mexico. But how come none of the great Italian players were born in Italy? And that's we decided to put a 501c3 together, go to Italy. We took John Franco with us. We did some clinics from Nettuno to Messina to Tuscany, and we evaluated the talent over there. It was amazing to see these young kids. They don't have the resources, they don't have the equipment, but they love baseball, just like we did when we were kids, out there with taped up bats and secondhand cleats and secondhand uniforms, 95-degree heat, and they're out there playing baseball just like I did when I was a kid. And when we got back, we said, Italy has a long way to go with baseball. It's way down on the list of sports, but has potential. And that led us into our next idea, which was to go the scholarship route. So the kids that could make it to that level, we decided to place them in colleges in the U.S. and advance their talent. And that's the basis of our foundation right now, is scholarships.
And how many years ago was this that you started?
Well, like Carmine said, it was
2016.
9 years
2016,
ago.
nine-
It's
nine
going to be
years
our
ago.
9th gala coming up.
Wow, that's amazing.
Ninth gala
We did the
already?
first 3 galas at my restaurant. We had anywhere from like 70 to 80 people. Then we did 2 years at Giando's on the Water, which grew up to about 270 people. We did 1 year with COVID. We did a Zoom gala, which was Joe's idea, which was great to keep it going. And then this was our first year, Marina Del Rey. I think we hit 450 people.
It was big this year. We go every year. My uncle's
yeah.
a-
Yes.
been a supporter forever,
so he
and
gets the table
he
and
always invites us to go.
graciously-
Yeah,
I think you guys have been every single one of our galas.
Well, why?
See?
How do we know?
yeah.
got
Actually,
the
Best advertising,
this
right?
is the best
bomboniere.
bomboniere we've gotten at a gala ever.
Yes,
we
correct.
actually use these in the studio. You'll see them on a lot of
They're great.
episodes. Yeah, these are. He's got us. We got to make Red Sox.
You should
Studio
sell these
ones.
online.
We're putting together an
Yes,
e-commerce
we
shop.
have a lot of things we need to sell online.
Yeah.
Yeah, people love the foundation. I mean, the event is fun. It's fun. It's well attended. All the old ball players.
It's packed.
It's packed.
It's
packed.
become like that annual thing,
Packed.
right?
Yeah.
That everybody meets right before the holidays.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see these ball players that know each other, that have crossed paths in the past, and they like get together and like, hey, how are you? And how your family? How your grandkids? All that stuff. And then just seeing friends come, and again, it's been that annual thing that you're seeing grow. I mean, it could easily get to like 500.
And it's good access. Everyone's friendly. You could take pictures. You could, have a conversation with someone who you look up to that's a big league player. Kids are approaching players.
Yeah.
It's a very unique environment.
It's gotten to the point where we're not really inviting people too much anymore. They're calling up asking to come.
Yeah, I can see
So
that.
that's a big step.
It's hard to especially around sports, even in the off season, a lot of these guys are working out. A lot of these retired guys have jobs either as coaches or executives, or who's in Florida and who's home with their family, and so it's hard to gather athletes and executives from sports. But you guys buck the trend. People really, I'm always so pleasantly surprised by the people that come out and take the time, and how honored they are in their speeches. You've had pretty much everybody, right? I mean,
you name it. Joe Girardi, Trey Mancini, Mike Pagliarulo. Well, this year we're going to have Dave Righetti, John Franco, Mike Piazza, Michael Kay. People forget he's Italian
Michael
too.
Kay, half
he's
Italian.
Danny Aiello's first cousin.
Francisco Savelli.
He's Danny Aiello's first cousin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
His mom, his late mom, was Danny Aiello's sister.
oh, he's the nephew. He's Danny's nephew.
He's
That's
Danny's
right.
nephew. I'm sorry.
Yes, he's Danny's nephew.
Danny's nephew.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Reducci. So many people. Tom Reducci is one of the biggest beat writers in baseball.
In
I
the
mean,
world,
if
yeah.
you don't know him, I mean, he's, this year we even had Tino Servatio come from Fox. So, I mean, again, we keep growing. I mean,
Michael Kay.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of my favorite events. The idea of so many people coming to support, and I think the scholarships and bringing Italian athletes and encouraging the game in Italy. You mentioned when you started this, you started in Nettuno, and for me that means something. But I think for the audience out there, it might not ring as true. Why is this little town in Lazio so important to baseball in Italy?
Well, supposedly the story is that's where baseball started in Italy. The troops, during the invasion of Anzio, a few days after they cleaned up the beaches, a baseball game broke out. I think they had a stick as a bat and maybe a paper ball taped up. And the story is that's where baseball got started. And the locals picked up the game after that, and it just, developed into what it is today in Italy.
It's really a romantic story.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
for us, it's a full circle moment of, well, this is an American game, but we're Italian Americans, and we get to be in Italy. And it's hard to describe feeling. And then from that moment in Anzio and Nettuno, it exploded. From 46, 45 till the 70s, it was major growth for the game. And in fact, actually, the first club, they say, was in Milano in 1946, so it's called Milano 46. And there's
which is
a
Kennedy.
full league. Oh,
It's
yeah.
called Kennedy.
JFK Stadium there, which is
Oh,
also
yeah.
very neat.
That's
And so
interesting.
there's pro teams all over the country.
Yeah.
But nothing sums up the baseball experience in Nettuno like the American Cemetery.
Yeah.
in
What a
Nettuno.
beautiful
Phenomenal.
cemetery.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I recommend everyone go visit the cemetery. And one of the original players that were playing baseball on the beach that day is buried there.
Oh my gosh.
And they have a whole part in the museum. There's a museum in the cemetery dedicated to this guy who really is the founder of baseball, an American soldier that was killed. And it's an incredible story, really is.
And even today, I mean, they call it Baseball City, right? In
Yeah.
Italy, even today, it's still a hotbed of the game. Is that? I mean, I've never been, so I'm asking. Is it still a kind of a hotbed of
I
baseball?
believe it is. I believe it is. I don't know too much exactly. I know they're in the Federation League, but exactly what they're in Serie A or Serie B,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Parma has overtaken it in terms of the amount of stadiums and the amount of kids
Yeah,
playing.
that's kind of like where people play.
But it's still always going to be ground zero for the game. And they, like I said, they have a museum, they have a pro team, they have the interest. It's still called the City of Baseball for that reason.
Right.
But Parma is incredible
Parma's
with the amount of
definitely
stadiums.
blown
Can I ask you
Yeah.
a question because it's in Parma? We have you're half Northern Italian.
Parmesan.
Talking Northern,
Parmesan.
everybody
Parmesan.
criticizes. We never have Northern Italians on the show. But today, you're a Northern Italian. What do they sell for food in the stadiums? What's for food and drink? Do they sell it or are they too small to have
Parmesan
concessions
cheese
there?
and prosciutto.
They have little food stands in a lot of the more built up stadiums. We've even been on something in Tuscany in Arezzo, and then you can get porchetta, you can get espresso, you can get fruit, you can get juice. It's not like some big stand like you would expect in an American stadium. They're these small huts. And again, it adds to this romanticism of I can't believe I'm drinking an espresso here. I can't believe I'm having cheese here, and it's very localized. And you don't even see prices on the board sometimes. There's just like little coolers, so they have it. But not every stadium has that.
But you touched on something, because when we do our clinics, after the clinics, the parents are there, and they don't go to restaurants. The parents bring food for us after the clinics, and some of the food that they put out is incredible.
Yeah,
That's got to be
Just
unbelievable.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing you could buy in restaurants. All homemade food.
Another reason to join the foundation.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, homemade food in Italy after a ball game.
Every clinic we put on, the parents put out a spread bigger than this room.
They bring paninos, prosciutto,
amazing.
They prosecco. There's no Gatorade or bottled water there,
Yeah.
but
It's not orange slices and Gatorade.
Nah.
How many kids come out for a clinic?
we average about 50 kids per clinic, and this year we were in Toscana in Grosseto. We had about almost 50 kids,
Yeah.
and then we were also in Parma as well, probably the same amount. But we always get a good amount of kids. And whenever we go to Italy, we try to do a few clinics. Obviously, you got kids that travel 3 or 4 hours to come to a clinic.
Wow.
Yeah,
They
this
come
year.
from Emilia Romagna, wherever they come from. They come to travel. I mean, they just to be known, to learn, to play the game, to hope,
Yeah.
to come to the States to play.
This might sound like a silly question, but is it still like if you take like the post-war Italy, like 1945, 1950, baseball is 1,000% an American game, right? Do they feel that they have ownership now, the way like the Dominican Republic and maybe the Caribbean, where baseball or Japan is part of the culture, or is it still seen as a foreign game?
It is still seen as a foreign game. And like I said, there's a lot of sport. We know soccer is, the number one sport, and always will be. But behind soccer is volleyball
Tennis.
and rugby's come up.
Tennis.
Tennis is
Even
very
basketball.
big.
Even basketball seems to have,
Basketball, very big.
Cycling.
Cycling, motorsports,
Yeah.
Formula One is very big. Baseball is, on the lower level.
There's two barometers. If you're looking at rankings and data, there's the Premier 12, and Italy right now is not ranked in the top 12 teams in the world. So right there, that
Yeah.
there's something not quite comparative to the United States, Japan, or the Latin American countries.
Right.
Then there's the World Baseball Classic, which is interesting because you almost go on this recruiting spree for the best Italian Americans or the second tier players that are willing to play for maybe Italy instead of the United States if they don't have the opportunity. And Italy did very well. They got to the quarterfinals. They had a pretty great run. But do you retool with those same players? Probably not in 3 or 4 years. So it's tough to gauge. But to answer the question, no, it's not soccer. It's not basketball. The Italian women just won the gold in volleyball.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually during the Olympics because I guess baseball's coming back
Yes.
next Olympics,
Right.
right? LA,
LA,
which
yep.
the last time it was in LA, 1984. That's the shirt I'm wearing today, the Italian
remember
team.
that.
Yeah, you remember that Olympics?
I do remember.
The Italian teams back then, that sort of post-war, like you say, from the 40s through the 70s, in the 80s, the Italian team was regularly on the world stage, be it the Olympics or the World Championships back then. Italy as a European country, I guess it's Italy and the Netherlands that are kind of the two bigger baseball powerhouses, if you will, from the continent. But the Netherlands has the advantage of Curacao being a Caribbean country where a lot of players come in. They're both part of the Dutch crown. So Italy's sort of an anomaly in that it's a European country with, no extraterritorial presence. But, as you point out, it has the Italian-American community. And you guys have played a pretty big role, I think, in helping to kind of bridge that gap, right? Talk to us a little bit about how an Italian-American ball player may end up on the Italian team.
Well, first off, you need a dual citizenship, right? That's number one. But they can easily play, for the Italian team, but their papers must be in order. That's one of the first things for sure.
And the Italian government will sort of expedite that, as I understand it,
Yes.
if they
Yeah.
want a player, right? I mean, this is not like a get online and go through. They'll help you get it
The
done.
Federation of Italian Baseball and Softball have the connections. They're all actually governed by the Olympic Committee in Italy, and they can help. Yeah, but it's a recruiting process. Really, to answer the question, there are a lot of players that have interest, but then there's a lot of really great players that are like, I'm proud to be Italian, but I don't want to play anymore. They reach a certain period in their MLB career, and they don't need to do it.
Right.
Like, we love these guys, Brendan Nimmo, Anthony Rizzo. They had their time with Team Italy. They're probably not going to do it again.
Right.
Right.
So you got to go to like the Vinny Pasquantinos, the Dominic Fletchers.
young guys.
Young guys coming up, yeah.
A lot of guys, like Chris was saying, a lot of guys are in contract years, and they're not going to want to risk playing for the WBC team. They don't want to get hurt or anything like that. So you got to go with the young guys, the collegiate guys, the Jack Caglianes of the world, the Spencer Jones of the world, Vinny Pasquantino, all the younger guys. I mean, like anything else, it starts from
The bottom
the bottom up, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Baseball Classic was created by Major League Baseball as an attempt to kind of have a World Cup, right?
Right.
And it uses all the professional
is
players,
great.
which is amazing. I mean, I
Great,
love the World
great.
Baseball Classic, and you point out Italy not only under the careful hand of our friend Mike Piazza did really well and exceeded expectations. But the Italian team created a great culture, and these guys who maybe were recruited and weren't so sure about their connection, they became a very bonded team. They had all the, it was the espresso in the dugout,
Right.
and they were doing the hand signal when something good happened. They all grew mustaches
We're
like
passionate,
Mike.
right?
They were passionate.
We're passionate.
But you guys, I think, maybe without even thinking about it, were involved in what underlies a lot of that connectivity, which is you guys were part of the team that took them over there, right? That you took this team to Italy. Talk about that a little bit.
That's Mission Classic,
Mission Classic,
November of 2022, and it was a cultural bonding experience that Phibbs and Mike Piazza included us in, and we really ran with it. And we did a documentary on it. We were every step of the way. The sipping espresso in the dugout in Tuscany was on that trip, and it's really important to have exposure to your heritage. And a lot of these players had never been there before, so you know what you're playing for. Yeah, you're playing for your Italian American, ability to say you're from both, two flags, one heart. But you really don't understand that until you're sitting in Tuscany, until you're eating something in Rome, until you're on a bus ride with your teammates through the country that our ancestors are from. So it was not only profound for those players, it was very important for us. And you're right. I think we've helped build the foundation of a connection to build a
big
bridge.
part, for sure,
We really
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And we don't take credit. We're proud that we are doing something that matters to a lot of people. And it's very niche. You talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
You got to be really into baseball and really love being Italian to understand who we are and what we're doing. But we found hundreds, if not thousands, of people that do. So
Yeah.
So, what's the future for the foundation, for the game? I have been party to conversations around maybe some more institutional help in growing the game over there. And so, what's the next challenges?
I think the next step for us is continue the scholarship path. That's our big thing. That's our development to the next Mike Piazza, if you will. And that's our main focus right now, and a lot of our funds are dedicated to our scholarship fund. Not only that, but we also donate equipment. We just sent a large package to the Milano team of equipment, which is a big part. And we're going to continue our clinics in Italy. And we also have a pretty big announcement coming up the first of the year. Can't go into details right now, but it's a something that when we started the foundation, it's something that Carmine and Frank and I and the board has realized that this could be a big stepping stone for us in Italy.
Great.
So that announcement's going to come up shortly after the first of the year.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We will make sure to share that with the world when the time
Yeah,
comes,
please.
because
Yeah.
and extending on the scholarship path, we've also built a college pipeline so that Italian natives have the opportunity to come to America and play baseball and softball. And it's really gratifying to see someone come here and get a scholarship, take advantage of it, and not only go and play ball, but play at a high level. We've had players like Francesco Bonvini come here from Parma, and he became the CUNY Pitcher of the Year. It helped the team win. And guess what? Now he's playing in Division II at the College of Staten Island. So they're progressing, and he's on the national team. So he goes back. He's been with us back in his hometown doing clinics. It's a beautiful cycle of we're helping. They got the skill. We have some connections, and we'll help operationalize it. We want to do that all the time. That's important for us. And we feel like we're just at the ground floor just getting into this. And, it's been, almost 9-10 years, but we have a great vision for how to reach the points of our mission.
Yeah.
And it's happening. It's all happening.
And you get that one star that's going to come one day, and that's just going to, take it. Again, when you played soccer, right? Who would you look up to? Paolo Rossi or these Rana Roma, Dino Zoff. You look, and then everybody wants to be like them, right? So we're looking for that next, Piazza, John Franco, or so forth. So again, it's all about working hard, scholarships. That's key.
Yeah.
That's the future right there. That's where you go. But definitely, we have tremendous passion for our heritage and for the game.
Yeah.
Tremendous passion. Chris just noted before, the IBF is a hard sell, right? People say, baseball, Italy, but get the whole picture of it. You get an education. We might have the future commissioner one day. You don't know, or an agent.
Yeah, you don't know.
Or an owner.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just
Well,
gonna be anything.
One thing that Carmine said, and we all agree on, it's a tough sell. And to do the clinics in Italy, to scholarships and everything else we're doing costs a lot of money. And we we were always looking for that one big sponsor that could, bail us out and help us out, and it's a work in progress.
Sure. Yeah.
But we're still trying. I'm sure maybe someone's listening today. They could.
If you're out
get
there,
involved.
this is a great organization. If you love these two things,
Yeah.
even if it's about education or athletics, or there's so many. There's so many ways that people attach to stuff that you just don't
There is.
expect. So it is about getting your message out and being in
Yep.
front of people, and
Yep.
you just never know who's out there.
And if they're interested, our website is iabf.foundation.
IABF.foundation. That should be on your screen right now, Nicky boy. And we will absolutely be linking it in all of our show notes and things like that. And it's a good opportunity for people. If you're in the area, certainly come out and if you can get a ticket, come into the event. It's a great event.
Great
and
event.
You guys are doing these things around the country with the Heritage Nights. So if you're out in a community and you think that would be something fun, contact the foundation. Maybe we could do something.
I mean, all our,
That'd be great.
again, we're a non-profit. All our proceeds go to the scholarships.
Yeah.
That's what we're about. We're not here to take anything, but just to continue to grow. We have a very good team.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page. We're passionate about the game. Again, we're passionate about our heritage. We spread it. We spread the love. I mean, it's baseball. Baseball's a beautiful game.
It is
and
beautiful,
you
yeah.
need more young kids to play it. Everybody's on their phones playing this, playing that. And they're not what do Italians do? We communicate, right? We're emotional. With this, with that. We need that all in one. It's so big.
Let me ask you, this was such an undertaking when you started this, right? And it's been tremendously successful. But what's different than what you imagined? Did things play out differently, or things you didn't expect, or things you've learned that you wouldn't have known?
Yeah, they didn't
What have you
imagine
kind of
me coming
learned?
on board?
That's right. Well, the big thing is that when we started the first dinner, you guys were there, we had 75 people in Carmine's restaurant. And we had the MLB network that was there, the WBC team, the 2016 with Mike and Francisco Savelli.
Yeah.
And we were nervous as all hell. We didn't know how we're going to squeeze 100 people into this restaurant, barely fit. Next thing you know, Carmine says, let's take it to Giando's. And I couldn't sleep. We had 250 people there.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, we're at Marina Del Rey with 450 people.
Yeah.
So it's, I never expected that. I
And
always
now-
thought that we would be at
Yeah.
Carmine's forever.
Right.
And now organizing the gala is like the easiest thing. It's like it just comes automatic. It's great. I mean, you don't realize. You ever open up a business? I just open up a business, right? And all of a sudden, shit, we're busy.
Yeah.
What do we do now, right? And that's kind of like how I feel. We've just growing and growing and growing. I mean, listen, there's areas that we definitely have to grow on, right? It's a learning curve, but I think in our 9th year, I think we're in a really good place.
And Carmine mentioned team, right? There's Natalie Spedalieri and Joe DiMartino, Mark Cardillo, Frank Catalanato. It's their idea. They ran with it for a few years, added more people to it, and it helps grow even more. You sprinkle some dust into it, and we all make things happen. Natalie does the golf outing. We all combine efforts on the gala. Cardillo helps with the baseball development, and he even played ball in the Italian league for a bit during college and after college. So we have great people. Everything is about treating it like we're a family, and we have our disagreements. And
Of
sometimes
course.
they're great. Actually, they're always great and healthy because we always get to the point that we need to, which is we're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And just a great team.
At the end of the day, it is for the foundation.
Yeah.
And like Chris said, agreements, disagreements, doesn't matter. We are in the same boat here for what it's for, what we're trying to accomplish. And it's for the foundation. We hope to get younger kids involved. And if you're out there, I mean, we love, anything. I mean, obviously we need young blood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everything else. We were just talking about that earlier with schools and everything else. You need young blood. You need help, but definitely in a good place for sure.
And not just the executive board that Chris just mentioned, but we have a lot of advisors on our board, and they all contribute. They all help. The Dom Scalas, the Don Bosamos, and we have a lot of people that love what we're doing and want to be a part of it, and it's a good part.
Yeah, people will lend themselves to something they believe in, something they're passionate about, and I think that's a big resource to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never know who's going to be able to pull something off, and
Right.
who runs this event or has this idea. It's what we need in the community for all this stuff. You have, and we're going to argue. I mean, have you ever been part of an Italian organization that doesn't have arguments?
The biggest shock is when an Italian American person joins an Italian organization for the first time and sees that their family dysfunction is a greater communal dysfunction that takes place at a meeting.
That's what you said to me one time when I took the job at NIAF. I don't know if this is a direct quote from you or somebody told you, and you just recalled it to me, but you said a NIAF board meeting is going to prove Italians are fundamentally still unready for democracy because
was me.
one voice, one
I own
vote,
that one.
and we
That's
all
me.
just argued, and it was true. We'd go to these meetings and like they'd be hours of arguing, but we'd get out, with the result that we needed, and sometimes they were easy.
But you're
and-
always going to eat well.
Yes, you always
Either
eat well.
before,
You always eat well.
after.
You
That's
always
the
eat
one thing.
Yeah. Speaking of eat well, you mentioned eating at the clinics and eating at the games. I was always, as a kid, enamored by the idea that the Italian league, Serie A, whatever it is, their sort of highest level, they play double headers on Saturday. Is that right? And in between, they have like a big macaroni lunch. That's like a
lot
real
of them do.
thing, right? Yeah. The
They
team.
don't play as many games within
Yeah.
the week, so
Right.
they play the
Yeah.
double headers. I
Right.
mean, they travel, so it's a long travel to get to each field.
For the average person that doesn't understand baseball in Italy, which is most people
Mm-hmm.
in America, there's maybe 30 teams in Serie A. There's a Serie B and C. It's probably too many teams,
Too
to
many
be
teams,
honest.
Yeah.
correct.
And they only play anywhere from 35 to 45 regular season games. And then you jump right into the playoffs in late July, early August.
Wow.
And the structure doesn't lend well to somebody that needs reps.
Yeah.
Like, think about my 9-year-old will play 50 travel baseball games
Yeah.
instead of 30. And so they just, it's very different. And the other thing that's bizarre, they're in the playoffs right now, actually, in August. They could just sign anybody they want added to the roster. Could you imagine doing that in Major League Baseball?
Yeah,
just go
imagine.
and get some power arm right in the
Yeah, but
middle
that's
of it.
typical time. Come on.
They do what they
Don't worry
wanna
about
do.
it. Fix your paperwork later.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. Absolutely.
It's a skewed reality
Yeah.
on what's probably a perfect game. It's not necessarily perfect, but it's fun.
It is kind of semi-pro over there, right? Like a lot of these guys have regular jobs. Most of these guys have regular
They all do.
jobs.
They all do.
I always found it like very interesting.
But that's like American. Before the war, I think all
Yeah.
those guys had jobs.
Yeah.
Before World.
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yogi.
absolutely.
I mean, a lot of the young
Yes,
kids
yes.
will know.
Yeah.
Didn't Yogi Berra
Yeah.
work at Macy's or something like
Did they
that?
have a bowling alley?
He had a bowling alley.
bowling
Yeah,
alley.
that was his one. I mean, Yogi was one of the bigger ones, but yeah, they all had. I mean,
They all had
winter
jobs.
jobs. That's how Roy Campanella got paralyzed. He
Because I
was
think like people
driving
now
to
think
his liquor
that
store.
those guys years ago
They had pay cuts.
had the
Yeah, of course,
you know,
absolutely.
Pay cuts.
Yeah, they. I mean, it
Imagine
was
giving a guy a pay cut now?
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Yeah, that's
it's a
not
different
happening.
world.
Different world.
In any business, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's the purity of it over there. And I always tell people, like, if you're an Italian American who plays baseball, maybe you played at the college level, but maybe you're in the minors or you're hanging around, didn't work out, you can apply for dual citizenship and go play in those leagues. They leave room for not just foreigners, but Italian Americans don't count as foreigners, right? So if you get the citizenship, obviously, and if you love the game and you want to just bang around and keep going, it's an option there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's
probably a very fulfilling one.
It's a great experience.
Yeah.
Imagine playing baseball, spending your summer in Italy playing baseball and traveling the country.
It's got to be nice. You know?
Or even just have that one Italian kid from Italy come to the States and be a major leaguer.
That would be.
Yeah,
That would be.
That'd be
that's
fantastic.
something.
Yeah.
That's really like
Yeah.
boom, and it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. you
They've
know.
had some, right? Alex
Liddy
was
with the
there.
Mariners.
He,
Right now, there's a kid, Sam Algieri, who was on the Phillies organization. Just got
Just
traded
got
to the
traded.
Angels.
Oh, all right.
He's a pitcher. I think that's going to be the next guy that makes. He's Double-A right now. I
Yeah.
think he's going to make it.
How's Alex Liddy is the only player born in Italy to ever play on a major league roster
There
in
was
the hundreds,
one
whatever.
early on, maybe the 40s
Right,
or something.
but
Cup of
the modern
coffee, and
period,
that
yeah.
was it,
Wow, that is
Yeah.
wild.
I mean, look at the kid on the Angels, right? He's half Italian. Logan O'Happy.
That's your boy.
I mean, he's like you. It's got to be a cousin of yours.
That sounds like a law firm.
Yeah,
You
he's
are
very
very
good, right?
good.
Joe, remember him?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he's the starting catcher for the Anaheim Angels.
Very proud to be Italian.
Where do you see baseball in Italy in 20 years?
It's a good question. It's a good
It's,
question. As long as the IBF's around.
I mean, we're going to do our thing no matter where baseball is, but it's hard to tell. It's,
There's
you don't know which direction the federation is going to go and what new rules are going to come into play. And the idea is to get more Americans to play in the league there. So I think that would help advance baseball. But, like we've been saying, you need that one person that makes it big in the U.S. That opens a door for a lot of kids in Italy to say, hey, this guy's making $20-30 million a year. Let's play baseball instead of volleyball.
Anything's
So-
possible. Would you ever think the Italian soccer team would miss 2 World Cups in a row?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
But
And then, here, so anything is possible. And could miss a third, right? Hopefully not, but,
20 years is a good question because I think the entire national program is dependent upon the youth
Yeah.
and the movement to have perhaps national academies and
Right.
better development from 12 to 18, because that will lend itself better to a more mature product. Right now you could study how they're doing in the WBSC events, like again these Premier 12 championships for 15-year-olds,
Right.
18-year-olds, 21-year-olds. We're not winning every one of those right now in Italy. So when they start to turn the page a little bit and win at those lower levels, that things are happening on the youth level. That will be a better sign. We need more development to see how it's going to be in 20 years.
Right, and you also have people moving to Italy from other countries, young kids that probably know baseball, that they might be the next,
Right.
promising ones there as well. So
But also, like Chris just said, the Czechs are getting it, the Germans are getting it, and the Dutch are getting it. Their youth programs are much more advanced than what's happening in Italy.
The Czechs made their first WBC World Baseball Classic appearance this last one,
Right.
didn't they? And I think they didn't do much because they were such an underdog, but they made a great story. Everybody was
Yeah.
sort of following along, and there's a lot of passion for it, and
And their youth teams are just out of the league right now. They're fantastic.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
wasn't the Italy-Japan game the most watched game in WBC history?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Which is fascinating.
And we were inches
yeah,
away from knocking Otani. I mean, we knocked Otani out. He
it's
was
amazing.
Done.
Yeah.
He was done.
Mike, to his credit, deserves a ton of credit for what he did with that team because, frankly, I mean, the pitching matchups that he faced with other, I
Right.
mean, they just had deeper
He had
pitching.
Superman, and it's
Yeah.
very hard to do.
God bless that guy.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
really-
and his
Blake
coaching staff
Vaccaro
was
was
very
great.
good
Yeah.
as well.
Blake,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, they did a great job.
very good.
It's really amazing to watch. I loved watching all of the memes of the, celebrations and the coffee and the cornicello on the shoes and all these things, and it felt like a great moment to be Italian American.
When we were at the Mission Classic, so we know firsthand, that team had a special bond. They really did. They were really close with each other. It was very nice to see, family oriented. It was just really,
Yeah.
really nice
It
to
was a
see.
great idea. I'm surprised other teams, other countries don't pick that up.
They
now.
will to
Yeah.
the next one.
I'm sure they will, yeah.
Yeah.
Besides
It was a
watching the
great
games
idea.
at 6 a.m., other than that, I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it was a little. You were up, right, Pat?
Absolutely. At 5:30.
You had your hat on, the bat in your hand.
We were going to go because we were working on doing a sponsorship thing with the team, and it just, of course, was Italy. The MLB's rules were slightly different than the Italian approach to them. So, but we went all this way down, and I said to him, like, get ready. We're going to get flights. We're going to go to Taiwan.
I was
and-
talking about 2
we were
suitcases.
ready to
They were
go.
ready to go.
And then basically we found out, like, dealing with the Italians, that most of the MLB deadlines had passed anyway, and the Italians just weren't paying attention to them.
No.
So it was like, all right, this could never have happened, but maybe next time we'll get
Well,
involved.
next WBC, they're going to start in the States.
Oh, is that
They
right?
are. I don't know if that's official
which
yet.
is great. So
That'd be
it's
great.
close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they used to do that. I went to a couple in Orlando. I think the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
one.
I think they played in
Early
Houston.
I remember the year they
Yeah.
were in Canada.
Yeah, I didn't
make that.
9 or 13.
Yeah.
I
Remember?
that too,
Toronto.
yeah.
That was great. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a big Italian.
Yeah,
area in
Toronto's
Canada.
huge,
Canada's huge.
You think there's any future for organized professional baseball in Italy? Is it possible? You talk about these guys playing 35 games a year and then the tournament. Like, is there room for a league in the future?
There is a league. I mean, the Italian Baseball League exists. I think they need to expand the amount of games they play.
But I mean, in like the American style, like
American
these
style,
guys
right,
travel.
yeah.
They
Right.
play every day of the week instead of Saturday.
I've asked that question, and I think the answer is no, only because the tax structure is somewhat different from what the answers I got.
Wow.
I really didn't understand why, because, they don't run their teams to make money.
Right.
There's no advertising. I don't know where they get their money from or how they do it, but from what I remember them telling me, because of the Italian tax laws, it won't work. Don't ask
It's
me
no
why.
surprise.
I don't know.
Makes all the sense in the world
Yeah.
to me, and I don't have to know
I
the
could be
specifics
wrong
of
on
it.
that. I just,
Yeah.
I believe that's what they told me.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
you go there, and when you're on the fields, no matter where we are in the country, you're stuck in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's cool for us because we get to go there in the summer once a year, and it's a very special time, and you just appreciate this rundown stadium that hundreds of thousands, if not thousands of players have been on. But you're also saying, well, they haven't had the resources in like 40 or 50 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah.
And so are they going to ever have the resources to invest, let alone infrastructure, let alone players and all the other operational costs? I don't
It's
know.
hard. Yeah.
But the facilities that we've had our clinics at, they're in a lot better shape than some fields here in the States.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I've coached travel ball. I've seen some messed up fields around here. So they're not that bad. I mean, they're
No.
pretty,
Well, like I said before,
Palmer
there-
was good, really
yeah,
good.
There's no money there. A lot of teams don't have money, but the people donate their time
Yeah.
to fix up the fields and
And
put
they
in-
drive. They go far
put
to
in
get there.
the
Yeah.
dirt. Yeah,
a lot of them don't live in the area.
Yeah.
Don't
They
live
can
in
all
the-
use a coat of paint. Every
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah, a lot of American places can too. That's
Yeah,
true. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's
But
just a matter
It's
of
all donation, their time and their effort. To
I mean, we
fix
saw
the
some
fields
good
up.
talent from ages like 15 to 19. I thought we saw some really good talent in Parma. I mean, that kind of like got my attention. Some good left-handed pitches, some good bats. I mean, a lot of those kids could play in good leagues here. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
I mean, it's like you look at like Latin American countries because of the presence of the game everywhere, and so many kids basically born playing like used to be here. Really, they're getting scooped up at a young age by MLB scouts. They're going to academies. It's like that. That's a big difference too, right?
Well,
like
Dominican Republic. That's something that 13, 14. If they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
If not, they're just next.
Yeah.
That's the way of getting out of poverty, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
pretty much.
Like it used to be for Italians in this country.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean, think
No
about all
different.
these guys who my great uncles. My grandfather's one of 7 brothers, I think, and 2 or 3 of them played in the minors because it was the best possible life you could. Matter of fact, my uncle Dominic, who's 93, the last of my grandfather's brothers, he played for a team called the Fulton, Georgia Lookouts, and I just recently found an old baseball hat of that team. There's only a couple of years that they played in Georgia, but I grabbed that at an auction, and it's something I'm very proud of. Here he is in the book, and he did this, and he's got.
I found
Good
an I was cleaning out my garage the other day, and I found an autograph signed by Betty Mo Trezza. That now from our neighborhood in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. She played in the women's league.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
And she won their World Series.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And I gotta hang it in the restaurant again.
Yeah.
That's like someone from our neighborhood.
That's
played,
I didn't know
and,
that.
Yeah, it
what
was
team
great.
did it say? It wasn't like the Rockford Peaches.
Yeah, I'll send you the photo. But the other day I was cleaning out the garage. I've been looking for this photo for years, So I'm gonna hang it up in the restaurant. But again, that's women based was great.
That's amazing.
And that's another thing we didn't spoke about. We do girls softball as well,
Right.
So that's something that should be heard of.
Yeah, shame on us.
No, it's okay.
No,
That's
but I
the-
mean,
that's the return episode.
that is the return
Yeah.
episode.
Girls,
Yeah, it's a great,
softball
it's
and
a
I mean,
great
Pat
point.
loves
Part
baseball.
two.
I was-
I was the worst baseball player, Carmine. You're picking at a skid.
I
You know how
believe it.
bad I was as a kid? Now, my mother's side are all fantastic baseball players. The boys and the girls very talented. I have no hand-eye coordination. So I was on a little league team. I would stand in front of the ball to get hit so I could walk. Because I felt I didn't want to screw up the team and
productive.
strike out.
So when
I would
you
just
got hit-
stand there,
when
little
you got
fat
hit, you were like,
kid. I would sit there, the little fat kid, hope it hits the fat, and I would walk because it was easy to walk into the
Take it for
ball.
the team.
Yeah, I took it for the team. So year after year, I just walk into the ball. Know how demeaning that was and
Yeah.
painful?
Listen, I loved the
Oh.
game more than anything else in the world, and I stunk at it. And I
was
didn't
horrible.
realize I had astigmatism. I didn't have.
They put me in left field. I was in left field. I never caught a ball.
Actually
once.
hit by a pitch.
I'd
One
see
of my great
balls. I'd
highlights.
try everything I could. I would be out there. It was
Wrong
it was
side
unfair.
glove, the glove on the
It was
wrong
horrible.
hand.
Yeah.
It was unfair to them to have me on their team.
I have this dream
Honestly.
where we get involved with one of these Italian American Heritage Days, and we get to come out and do batting practice together with the team. It's like maybe probably a minor league team, obviously, but
That's
like
a John dream.
I just think of him and I out there
create
taking.
like an Italian American softball game at one of these fields.
Oh, that'd be great.
Well,
You buy a
and do-
team.
Yes,
Shout
that's
it
what I
out.
gotta do. I gotta get a minor league team. I have this idea in my head. I don't want to go too far, but there's a couple
If
of markets
Palermo
where I
has a
could-
baseball
yeah.
team, that's going to be yours.
Absolutely would be mine. Yeah,
They
I would love that. I would be all about that. But I do have this idea because my nephew plays in Westchester in in our town. It's all Italian people in the league, right? Every last name's got a vowel. Giovanni's playing against Carlo, and the teams. Shockingly enough, I'm going to say this now. Somebody's going to sue the town. They're named after Native American tribes, so they're like the Seminoles and the Chippewas, and I'm like, this is kind of courageous for a town full of primarily Italian kids to be using these things, but they've been using them since like the '60s.
Right.
And I said, gosh, I got to approach the town board and say, listen, if we sponsor like the jerseys, can we name them Italian? Can we say like the Sicilians and the Neapolitans? And
You want to
like,
design the jersey,
take our
that's why,
tribes.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
design the jerseys. Yeah, it's like a dream of mine. So if you're out there in an Italian community and you want free jerseys for your teams and are willing to name them after Italians, give us a
You'll
call.
get
Find
that
us.
tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, maybe we
Free-
get lucky.
that won't-
I will sponsor any town that will let us name the teams Italian things and design the jerseys for sure. I'd be thrilled to do that. That would be quite quite a option here at the Italian American podcast. I would enjoy that very, very much. And I've enjoyed, as I know we all have, having you guys on here.
Thank
I
you.
hope.
It's our pleasure.
Can I plug one thing?
Yeah, plug
My-
away.
Carmine, and you guys know I'm 23andMe person.
Yes,
We're like 10th cousins.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a genealogist who figured out because he knew Vinny, your cousin Vinny,
Right.
was our cousin Vinny, because my grandfather's grandmother was a Gangone.
How about that?
So I that's the stuff I kind of love.
You always
So-
are related to the people you know through. I have not one relative that I
met
know.
some-
have come
Your
across-
cousin Cono Carano.
You're related to my cousin.
Yeah, we have a cousin in common because that's also my grandfather's grandmother was from Teggiano, and all those connections came to because Cano came up, and so we got some blood in common. If you take me and you and put it in a petri dish, you come up with Cono.
See, that's amazing.
That's it. We got to bring him on.
I mean, we're not far from Sanza. That's only 30 minutes.
No, it's
right?
close.
Yeah.
We went for the feast. We were there
Oh, it was great.
years ago with my dad and all his buddies and Billy and all those
Carmine
guys.
has a great restaurant.
That's it.
Yes, you
right?
do.
The-
Yeah.
but you're
Let's
in
plug the
Brooklyn,
restaurant.
correct?
That's true. You,
Excuse me?
The restaurant's in Brooklyn.
And Williamsburg,
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
let's-
Carmine and Sons. John was just there
I
last
was
week.
there for the feast. Yeah, my aunt. And let's plug it because not only is it in
I
our
love your
neighborhood,
I love
but
your Instagram.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
got the Wooly for pizza sometimes. I'm like,
It's delicious,
10:30
yeah.
at night, you're taking something out. Where
Yeah.
am I going to go now?
And you know what everybody says? Not only is the food delicious, but the hospitality is so important.
Thank you.
You make everybody feel like it's a clubhouse for the neighborhood, and people come in and out.
You're an artist, you can see.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it's easy when you eat the food, it's delicious, but you don't realize that there's a guy behind it. That's why I love watching your Instagram account
appreciate
because I
that.
see.
Try to treat everything like family
Just don't
and
put nothing
friends,
up at
you
10
know?
o'clock at night when I'm trying to go to bed. Not
I'm
that I'm
gonna
trying
do
to
it-
please.
now I'm gonna do it
I
all
got
the
to
time.
wait. You put something up the other day, so I'm going to kill this guy. So what am I going to do?
Listen, but I remember you couldn't eat
The pinole nuts, yeah.
Right.
I always remember.
Yeah, that's see. Now you know a place really cares when you go in and they know. There's a couple places we've
Some
been,
places don't
and
know.
they're
I
like,
barely
oh,
knew
no.
you then. I
Yeah.
barely knew you.
That's how I'm always afraid that's how I'm going to go. That's the worst way.
Get the
What are you
EpiPen.
going to do? That's what I got too, right? EpiPen should be a sponsor.
Yes, let's
We'll
find
look
out.
for sponsors.
That would be very perfect. Sponsor the show. Save Pat's life. The EpiPen. That's all we need. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Thanks to EpiPen.
And yeah, thanks to EpiPen, our new
Thanks to EpiPen, our
sponsor.
new sponsor.
Enjoy not only the episode but the rest of the baseball season if you're a fan out there. Find out more about the IABF on the website iabf.foundation, and maybe you'll get lucky and get a ticket into next year's gala. It's one of the best.
It's
there
a
is.
blast.
Yeah,
It's a blast.
We love it.
And you're going to have a nice bombonera like this
We're gonna
next
come
year?
up with something.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to surpass the coffee
Can't
cups,
surpass-
but
everybody.
The Demi-Test cups are our favorite. So maybe you'll get yours next year at the IABF Gala. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See that you're born in Italian. If you want your life to be great, see that you're born in Italiano and your life will be great. See that you're born in Italiano.